right before God's business. Father, thank you for this time together again, for your blessings. Lord, this church has had many budgets, and just we'd ask you to guide us in our just communication and in our decisions and in the year ahead. And just thank you again for your many blessings in Jesus' name. Amen. All right, Kathy, can you confirm we have a quorum? We have a quorum, thank you. All right, in the agenda, we can go to the agenda slide. You ready to go back there? Oh, there we go, we're going one by one. Okay, first on the agenda here is just kind of an elder update, really. Just various subjects I thought we'd just talk about, and again, I don't plan on this meeting being very long, so I'll just speak quickly. So this fall, our current plan is to resume most major regular programming at the church. In other words, all the programs we've had in the past. Details of the start dates are still being considered by the staff. It's still being worked out. The Board of Elders have discussed, but have not really resolved a plan for resumption of choir, the timing of that, or the hiring of a choir director, as we have had in the past. It's not currently included in the budget this year, but that can change. I'm just giving you an update. We haven't decided not to do it or anything like that, so we're still working through how that's going to work. All the above activities, or the activities I've talked about, we're going to follow the COVID recommendations by the CDC. That's our intent. Now, I just want to add, this isn't on the slide, things are going to be different, right? COVID affected everything. We just don't know it yet, right? I mean, a lot of things we've seen change, but in the coming weeks, we're going to need your help to get involved, to get those ministry programs going again. So please consider that. I know many, many of you have been involved in many things over the last many years, but just, it's been a year and a half, right, where people have kind of, stopped doing things like they used to. So please consider that if you get the call or volunteer to help. All right, next thing, Sjostrom Estate gift. We've announced this, I believe via email previously, but I just wanted to give you an update on where this stands. So Richard and Jerry Sjostrom were longtime members of First Covenant. Richard was the founder and owner of Sjostrom & Sons Construction until his retirement in 1982. Jerry had been a longtime resident at Fairhaven and in declining health. Richard passed away in 2005, and Jerry passed away earlier this year at 98 years old. So First Covenant is a sole beneficiary of the Jerry Sjostrom Trust. The trust is now administered by Midland States Bank. We're going to receive the proceeds in about 5 months. We've received a small balance to date, but there's a holding period for the trust. And then the balance we anticipate will likely be about $1 million, or a little bit over actually. So what a blessing. So in addition, we're the contingent beneficiary of the Jerry Sjostrom portion of the Richard Sjostrom estate. We've received the full expected disbursement of that, and about $47,000 from that estate right now. And the total balance is $67,846 right now. So the elders are going to appoint a special committee to discern how the Holy Spirit would have us deploy these wonderful gifts. A dry mouth today. Initially, the members of that committee are going to be the elders, and Vance Havens, our deacon of finance, and then we're kind of working through what other members might be appointed to that. So we're kind of looking for a chair, and it's in process is what I'm saying. So if you have any input for good ideas on that, let us know. The committee will be tasked to make recommendations to the congregation as to the use of the funds, and then we'll give you updates as we go along. But again, no real action being taken today. I just wanted to give you an update on where that stands. New staff positions included in the, switching over to the budget, included in the budget this year. Communication coordinator is Megan Maish. She was hired in July. She's responsible for the website and social media maintenance at the church. And then there's two other positions that have been contemplated for a while. We decided to got them in the budget this year. Administrative assistant. So this was a position that was contemplated back in the SMPC recommendations back 2 or 3 years ago. The intent is to help unburden pastoral staff and church leadership of administrative tasks. And we have drafted a job description, but this hasn't been all finalized. But that would be a part-time position. And again, details are kind of being forthcoming. The other one is a video and technology assistant, part-time. COVID has highlighted a need for enhanced technology engagement, like video recording and live streaming. Now, I'm just here to tell you that most of you probably have seen our online services, back when we were in the parking lot, or on Facebook. It is a lot of work that is, Pastor Peter has done a lot of it, quite frankly, but we've had other people involved. They have been doing a great job. This does not mean to say that the people have been doing this, helping us, and I'm not going to name them because I'm sure I'll forget somebody, but they have been and are doing a great job. It's a different world. We need somebody that, can really pull all the pieces together. Some people still be involved in doing what they're doing now, but, it's just a different world. So that's what this individual will do that we're going to start searching for. So I think that's all I had to say about that. And then we have a couple of staff resignations. Always tough to get staff resignation letters. And as you can see, Diane Johnson and Sherry Ruiz have resigned, but just to give a real flavor, I want to read their resignation letter to the congregation so you fully understand the story. And I'd encourage you to talk to them after, too. So this is from Diane. As outreach coordinator these past years, I have counted it a wonderful blessing to have been called to this position. The Lord has blessed the church with so many opportunities over the years to reach our congregation and community with His message. These ministries have been from the works of His hands, and it's been exciting to be part of those ministries. Looking ahead, I need to announce that I'll be retiring at the end of April with Gary, and will need to end this phase in our lives. We will still be serving as we feel called to at First Covenant, but I will retire from my official title as outreach coordinator. I'll also pull from the outreach area after April to make the transition smooth and not interfering with the new coordinator. This is very early to be announcing it, but with friends and family knowing what our plans are, I felt it was better to announce it officially and not have some knowing our plans and others may be hearing it secondhand. Also, my thought is it will give you ample time as you look forward to the ministry at First Covenant on how to fill the position and the opportunities there might be for the future of this ministry. Life is moving on, and it's hard to realize the passing years until it's upon me and Gary. I look forward to this year and what the Lord has in store for me, Gary, and the church. Sincerely, Diane Johnson. The second one, to the church, it is with much reflection and prayer that I'm submitting, this is from Sherry Reese. Much reflection and prayer that I am submitting my resignation from the position of worship coordinator at First Covenant of Rockford. I've loved my time on staff here at church, but I find it is time to move on. I know that it can be very, very difficult to fill a position like the one I'm leaving, so I'm happy to be very willing to stay on in my position until May 1st of 2022, At that time, replacement or not, that will be my last day. Before May of next year, when you do find my replacement, I'll take my leave as soon as the next worship coordinator is settled in. If the right person is found in a week or a month or 3 months, I will move my last day to that time. I would like you to begin the process of replacing me as soon as possible, but I'm willing to stay until you find them. I have loved my time as worship coordinator, especially leading the praise team. My family and I would like to remain active members of First Covenant. We appreciate Pastor Peter's teaching and the congregation and outreach that our church has. This is our home. We hope to spend our time here for many years to come. Thank you for the opportunity to grow, learn, and lead here at First Covenant. Sincerely, Sherry Ruiz. So this isn't a send-off time for them, but I just want to let's give them a hand and thank them for their service. And with that, Vance, I think we're on to the budget.
Alrighty, the very best part of every meeting, all the numbers. Next slide, please. So first, just kind of an update, and you probably have to click it again, is a report on the annual fiscal year that just ended the end of June. The June income was not known as we were assembling the budget, and so there were some projections in there. And we ended up June with, again, a deficit. That's 4 months in a row now of deficit, accumulating about $40,000 worth of deficit over those 4 months. And unfortunately, pretty well taking out the surplus that we built up over the year of COVID, where we had lower expenses and the income, praise to all of you, was staying pretty steady. So we were in a position at the end of the year of still having a positive balance. In fact, the biggest positive balance we've had for quite a number of years, but not sufficient to be able to begin paying back that $208,000 outstanding loan that's been out there for a number of years. That $27,000 is about what we need to keep in the checking account as working capital to manage the cash flow on a monthly basis. So that's where we end up the year. Questions on that before we carry on to look at the budget then? Seeing none, next slide. Run through some of the major assumptions that kind of give you a little bit of a background, a snapshot of how we arrived at the budget that we have. First off, we have an essentially flat income. The income that's in there is what we had projected to be the income over last fiscal year, and we ended up, as you know, falling a little bit short of that. So the income in the budget could perhaps be a little bit optimistic. It's a few percentage up from what we actually realized. For the staff, in consultation with the elders, it's been several years since we've done a staff raise. So for the bulk of the staff, there's a 3% raise cooked into it. And then there's some adjustments in the salaries. We're trying to get everybody up to the $15 level. We have a number of part-time folks who are at 11. We're moving them to 13 this year, dollars per hour, sorry. And then with an intent to go to $15 per hour in the next fiscal year. There are others who are somewhere between the $11 and $15 range, and we've moved them up to the $15, which gives them an increase in excess of the 3%. So that gets everybody at least a 3% raise. And Diane's salary through this year will continue to be covered by the Schwab account, but that will pretty well consume that. So that means of funding the outreach coordinator will come to an end at the end of this budget year. We have the 2 additional staff members that Brad mentioned earlier, and we're projecting that that would be a 9-month period. It'll be what it'll be, but and that the rates and hours that you see on the chart there. Carrying on. Oops, I'm getting ahead of myself here. In most cases, we're going back to the pre-COVID expense levels as we expect to be more or less fully open again. However, there are a number of areas we're looking at the last full year pre-COVID and what happened during the COVID period where we're finding we're able to make some nips and tucks and trim things a little bit. So there will be a bit of numbers that are a bit different when you look through the detail sheets, trying to align us better with what we expect to realize. Many of the commissions submitted inputs on what they expect to need, and so that's all also cooked into the budget. This will be the first year of a full facility cost not being offset by RCS. We had expected that coming into last year, and then COVID hit and everything changed, as you well know. So we have gone back to the same projection that we had going into last year of a full facility cost with no offset from the RCS leasing the facility. We've added in the leadership camp at a $14,000 level, and then offset that by taking income from the Carlson Youth Memorial. And we've also used the Carlson Youth Memorial to offset the cost of the summer and snow camp for the youth to help the budget along. The contributions to the denomination and to the conference are maintained at the level that they've been in the budget before, which are still well below what is recommended, but what we have been able to sustain for the last few years. The Missions Commission recommended and wholehearted endorsement from both the elders and the council to add Tyler Nyland, a son of the church who is bivocational minister up at Fountain of Life in Madison, to add him to our mission support. That's in there. Just so that we don't forget it, as we did once a few years ago, we've captured the YFC donation, which is also covered by an offset from the Sealander Memorial. The Lunch Buddies program is in as a replacement for the park ministries, and we've put it in at $5,000, which is really just a wild guess of what it might be. But whatever it is, we will offset again by drawing on the Sealander. So that's a zero impact on the budget with that kind of funding. And last couple of assumptions then, in the outreach area is where we carry the new media functions that have come along with COVID over the last year, for the courier and the website update, and then for all of the video streaming equipment, with an expectation that there'll still be some additions and our maintenance of that equipment required in this year. There's a fairly significant budget item in there. We're also finding that some of our computing equipment is aging and failing, as happens with time. So there's 4 new laptops figured into the budget. Again, that piece of the budget is offset by memorial coverage. So with all of that, we've got a balanced budget, but recognizing that with the contributions coming from memorials in the several spots that I've noted, about 10% of our operating budget is coming out of memorials rather than from income, just as a point of interest. So that brings us then to the, thank you, to the full budget item here. And I put just a top line summary in here. You have all the details in the handout in front of you to go through each of the line items that you're perhaps more used to seeing. But to comment at the top level, again, the revenues are what we had projected based on the 11-month through May to be at the end of the year, and it's a bit above what we actually realized. In salaries, we hired Ariana a bit later than what we expected, and John Butzo left mid-year, so the staffing costs were a bit lower than what had been expected, and with the additions and the raises, it's up a little bit in the next year. The benefits, for similar reasons, will come down a little bit. We're moving to more part-time employees who don't have the same sort of benefit coverage. We've done some nipping and tucking in the office expenses and other expenses, and so that's, well, it doesn't show up very well there, but anyway, that's down a little bit from what it had been as well. In the Adult Commission, that is primarily the materials that we use in the spiritual formation classes to get that in. Congregational care, you see, was a contributor this year. They had a negative $25 expense, which is actually $25 of income. What that simply means is that those who had memorial services or fellowships, the contribution they made exceeded the cost. And so we had a very slight income. For next year, we're back to the level that we expect, you know, overall, about $1,000 of expense in the congregational care. The facilities we talked about before, so we're back to the same kind of level that we had projected for a full year of facility utilization without the RCS offset. So that's that level. In the family ministries, that's the children and youth. We've taken some of that cost offline through that memorial contribution for the snow camp and have offset the leadership camp in that way as well. The Finance Commission is in it at the same level, but after the budget was approved, we got notification from our insurance carrier that that rate would be going up. So that's actually going to be about $5,000 more than what you see on the chart there. In the Missions Commission, the difference is adding Tyler Nyland into the support from the missions. In the Outreach Commission, that's the changes in the youth and children ministry and the offset. I'm sorry, outreach, that's a decrease from what we had in this past year. In this past year, we had the significant initial investment in the streaming and media equipment, and we moved to more of a sustaining level than an original purchase level for next year. So that's the difference in that one. The Women's Commission, the $1,000 you see as the actuals is more representative of what it really is with the normal contributions to the Northern Illinois District and the conference and the denomination and the mission support and so forth. That is normally offset by the bake sales and other events that are held during the year, which didn't happen during COVID last year. So the expectation is we'll be back to a more normal year, and that's why that's returned to that level. And last but not least is in the Worship Commission, there's been some deferred maintenance on some of the equipment, and so there's a bit more expense in there. So that brings us down to the bottom line, where we are showing a balanced budget for next year at that level. This budget has been reviewed and approved by both the elders and the council, and so per the Constitution comes to you, the congregation, for ratification at the annual meeting. So this is now a motion before you to approve the budget. But before we go to that, are there any questions anywhere?
I have a question.
Yeah, fire away.
That loan that we cannot repay, I know that some places that have loans out are deferring interest, things like that. Is there anything like that that's happening with that? Like you could,
This is the outstanding loan for memorials you're asking about?
whatever that amount was, I'm sorry, 200 years. Yeah. So are they able to move payments to the end of it for us? Is there some sort of, hold on interest or?
No, there's no interest on that loan. We have been blessed historically of having a great financial position with a great deal of memorial income coming in there. We have a long history of, due to cash flow issues, mainly during the summer when the income is down, of borrowing from ourselves, if you will, borrowing from the memorial account in order to maintain, to pay the expenses through the summer and then paying it back by the end of the year. We did that for many years. Then there came a period of time, and I'm not sure exactly when, 6-7 years ago, where we didn't have sufficient income in the end of the year to be able to pay back the memorial account. And so we ended the year with a debit against the memorial account. So this is taken from us, owed to us, if you will. It's from our left pocket to our right pocket, if you want to look at it that way. And over time, we accumulated $208,000 worth of that loan out of the memorial account. So if you look at the balance sheet, which is also in your handout, it would appear that we have, do I have that with me? I don't have a copy with me. Someone will have to help me with the numbers. It would appear that we have $322,000 and another 44,000, about $350,000+ of memorial funds available to spend against the various memorial accounts. The reality is, because we've borrowed that money in the past, we are actually only having about 80-some thousand. Then with the new Showstrom account going in there, it goes up to about 150,000. So we've got about 150,000 where we should be having 350,000. Does that help or confuse? I'm sorry.
It helps a little bit. It'll probably take a moment for it to really click.
Yeah. So what we intend to do, what we've desired to do, and what we hope to be able to do this year, as we had built up a surplus during the COVID year, was to be able to begin replenishing those memorial funds, so that when a memorial project for the Children's or for Chick or for any of these designated memorials would come up, we'd have the funds available to use from the memorial as they were intended to be used. So now, as a memorial request comes up, we need to be careful in looking at it. It's not to say that we don't have the money, not to say that we won't do that. We have done memorial actions this year, in fact, to pay for different items like the refurbishment of the chapel. But it's not as available as it could and should be if we'd maintain those memorial accounts. Clear? Other questions? Yeah.
It's more of a comment than a question.
Mm-hmm.
Since you said you were contemplating the hiring of a fire director?
The elders are reviewing that situation. It is not in the budget right now. So it is not.
Well, I think it would be a loss to the church to not have a fire, so I would encourage you to try to find a way to find a person, even just part-time, to bring the fire back to lead them. And, I think it's great for outreach, and it certainly adds another dimension to the worship service, and I miss it.
Thank you for that input. I personally missed it as well. So, yeah, Gary.
I don't remember what the Schwab account is.
The Schwab account, that's,
What the Schwab account is.
yeah, I'm going to have to ask you to answer that one. That's a long-standing account. We've been drawing on that for the outreach coordinator for 7 or 8 years, I want to say. The decision was made to begin drawing that down for that purpose.
That's correct. It's an account that someone donated to the church many years ago. I don't know how long it's been. It's quite a number of years ago. And specifically designated to fund outreach coordinator position and, was it youth?
For underprivileged youth, I believe.
Young adult, I'm sorry, for the young adult director we have in the past, so.
Other questions for Brad? Okay, we have a motion on the floor then. Mr. Moderator.
All right, we have a motion to accept the budget as is presented here. Do I hear a second? Gary is always good for a quick second. Any further questions? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? So moved. Okay, I think that takes us to the end. Thank you very much. Again, thank you for your part in the ministry of First Covenant. This has been a strange year. So I just want to say thank you again, and Peter is walking up here quickly, so I defer to him.
I have one point of other business. We need a couple of folks to help us move this piano off of the chapel piano. Thank you. The piano in the chapel, which you heard a little snippet, is getting a facelift. We've already done the pews. They all got new coverings, and now we're going to be replacing the carpet in the chapel, and it will have a new paint color there where the windows are at the very front of the chapel. So we need a couple of people to help us in the chapel to move it's only one step. So it's not like big 3 steps here. The altar's only 1 step. Just easy to get to God and easy to get the piano down. Okay, Brad, back to you.
Thank you for coming. Have a great day. Meeting is adjourned.